Docking day, Atlantis' final visit to the International Space Station, and here in the shuttle flight control room, the team that will guide Atlantis to its destination today, the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers, is on duty, having taken a handover from the planning shift that oversaw the crew's sleep period and the replanning efforts for today's timeline activities. Atlantis today will be making the 46th and final docking of a space shuttle to a space station. Atlantis, of course, was the first shuttle to dock to the Mir space station in June of 1995, 16 years ago, on the STS-135 mission. In all, space shuttles have docked 9 times to the Mir space station, Atlantis having carried the load during the Shuttle Mir program with 7 such dockings to Mir. There have been 36 dockings to the International Space Station, and 11 to date by Atlantis. Today will, of course, be the 12th and final docking by a space shuttle to the International Space Station.
Houston, welcome on board. DTV to the flight deck if you want.
Houston copies. Atlantis, Houston, good config for the burn.
Copy, good config.
Flying high over the Atlantic Ocean off the west coast of Africa, we're just 30 seconds away from this course correction burn as we watch over the shoulders of Chris Ferguson and Doug Hurley up on the flight deck of Atlantis. Ten seconds out. The propulsion officer reports 2 good engines burning. You could see very clearly the cannon-like jolt of those big orbital maneuvering system engines. And courtesy of space station cameras, our first view of the shuttle Atlantis.
Good burn, Atlantis. No trim required.
Copy, good burn.
Here in the shuttle flight control room, the rendezvous officer reports that we are locked on to the International Space Station through rendezvous navigation. Currently processing through the general purpose computers, everything right on track.
And Atlantis, we're still on board with you on the camera and the flight deck. Really enjoying it. Thanks for inviting us on board.
Anytime, Stevie Ray.
We're waving.
Hey, Rex is going to try to show you where we're headed here.
Hey, thanks, Rex. That was neat. Felt like we were being right there. Certainly brought back memories. In Atlantis, you are go for TI.
Go for TI. Great news. Thanks, Houston.
You bet.
Good engine, good control. Terminal initiation burn in progress.
Atlantis, Houston, good burn, no further trim required.
Good burn.
The image of Atlantis growing a bit more perceptible from cameras on the International Space Station. Through the centerline camera in the orbiter docking system, this sequential still video view of the International Space Station. This is through the S-band communications system while we await the reacquisition of a Ku-band downlink communications signal.
Atlanta station on the big loop, we have you in sight. Excellent, we'll be there soon. We're waiting.
The rendezvous officer here in Mission Control now reports that Atlantis has arrived on the R-bar. That's the radial vector, the line between the space station and the Earth. Chris Ferguson will make his way now to the aft flight deck to begin to slowly fly up the radial vector to that position just 600 feet directly below the station. The view of Atlantis from the International Space Station.
Atlantis, Houston, you are go for the RPM. Go to proceed inside 600 feet.
Atlantis copies. Go for the RPM and go to proceed inside 600 feet. Houston station, Atlantis on the big loop, initiating RPM in 3, 2, 1, mark. We copy.
Houston copies.
With that, Commander Chris Ferguson now will begin the slow 3/4 of a degree per second rotational backflip. This again is about a 9-minute maneuver. You'll hear the start photography call initiated when the orbiter is in the correct orientation of this procedure. The actual R-bar pitch maneuver will last about 9 minutes in duration, about 93 seconds of available photography for Sergei Volkov, Mike Fossum, and Satoshi Furukawa. Poetry in motion as Atlantis conducts the final R-bar pitch maneuver in shuttle program history.
Station Atlantis on the big loop. Start photos. Starting photos.
And with that, a period of about 93 seconds of good photography now initiated for Sergei Volkov, Mike Fossum, and Satoshi Furukawa using digital cameras and high-powered lenses out of the Zvezda service module.
Atlantis on the big loop. End photos. Copy end photos.
And with that, the digital imagery comes to an end. Hundreds of photos were snapped during this 90-second period of available photography. Like no other vehicle can, the space shuttle completing its R-bar pitch maneuver, passing over the North Atlantic, Atlantis holding rock solid. The rendezvous officer indicates to Flight Director Quatsiela Barujo that Commander Chris Ferguson has flown a textbook R-bar pitch maneuver. Soon he will initiate what is called the Torva maneuver, the twice orbital rate V-bar arrival maneuver, in which he will break out of the radial vector and move to a position about 310 feet or so in front of the International Space Station along the velocity vector or the direction of travel for both vehicles. And you can see the structure of the International Space Station now coming into view as both spacecraft pass over the limb of the Earth. Atlantis coming up on the so-called V-bar, the velocity vector.
Atlantis, Houston on the big loop. The teams have been pulled in concurrence. You are go for docking.
Atlantis on the big loop, copies. Go for docking.
And back with television from the International Space Station, you can see in the darkness over the Indian Ocean the illuminated payload bay of the shuttle Atlantis. 168 feet separating Atlantis from the International Space Station. This view looking right down at the orbiter docking system, the ring having been extended yesterday, the docking mechanism systems checked out, everything in readiness for contact and capture about 19 minutes from now.
Houston, Atlantis on 2. We're going to configure KU for comm now.
Roger, KU going to comm.
And again, the view from the camera setup in the orbiter docking mechanism through sequential still video looking back down towards pressurized mating adapter number 2 and the docking target.
Houston and Station Atlantis on the big loop. We don't see a flyout. We're initiating final approach.
Houston copies.
Station copies.
Pilot Doug Hurley informing both station and shuttle flight control rooms that no flyout is required, meaning no additional alignment required. Commander Chris Ferguson is dead spot on with the two docking mechanisms perfectly aligned, 24 feet separating the two spacecraft, pressing in for final approach and docking. Contact, docking confirmed. Capture confirmed at 10:07 a.m. Central Time.
Houston, Station Atlantis, capture confirmed, and we see free drift.
Station Atlantis, Houston, station free drift is confirmed.
Pilot Doug Hurley confirms the arrival of Atlantis.
Free drift.
The station now in free drift.
Atlantis arriving. Welcome to the International Space Station for the last time. That's great to be here, Station. We'll see you shortly. Houston hit it at block 22 Alpha. Sure soul's done with the sequence key card.
Atlantis, we copy. No deltas for 22 Alpha. Over on the flight plan, the post-docking hatch leak check will be done by MCC. And lest it go unsaid, we thought that was just a beautiful and perfectly executed rendezvous and docking.
Hey, Stevie Ray, I'll tell you, kudos to our rendezvous team, Nick Adosi and his folks. We were well trained. Alan Fox and Steve Gauvain, thank you very much. And we'll see our station folks soon.
Thank you, Fergie.
Once again, this is live onboard video from the International Space Station, looking inside the Harmony node as the Expedition 28 crew get ready to open up the hatches between the station and Space Shuttle Atlantis. The crew is going through the process of opening up all the different hatches. The pressurized mating adapter number 2 hatch has been opened. But our official hatch opening time will occur once the final hatch is open.
How's it going, Ron?
It's going good. We're expecting some house guests.
All right.
Yeshua, okay. What else, Fergie?
I can't think of anything real exciting. How'd it look from your perspective?
RPM look good. Oh, man. Got some awesome pictures. You were right over the Bahamas or something, or the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Douglas!
Good.
Hey.
How are you, my friend?
How you doing?
Good. Glad to be here. Hey, look.
Hey.
Wow, look at that. Ooh, look at you. A fancy light.
Ours is bigger.
Yeah, that's a fancy light.
Ours is, mine's not. Should I film this? We should film this. Yeah. Filming us. You guys ready to work hard? Oh, wait a second. You have been working hard.
We don't know if the video is going to work between the shuttle and the station. We've been testing it for the last 48 hours, and
Really?
it hasn't been successful. So,
You mean just your wireless between...
no, to ship your views to us, and actually, and vice versa.
Channel 71 and Channel 72?
Yeah, we're still working it.
How about the hard line through the
Bipsmo?
Bipsamo block?
Yeah, no, the Bob's not. We're not getting any video through the breakout box yet. So, we'll try. I mean, we've got
the two PGSCs that you guys have set up to transmit that stuff.
yeah.
But you still have the internal Channel 71, Channel 72.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is to get to the SSCs and the cupola.
Right, the SSCs.
Yeah.
Chuck's
Right.
consternating over that.
That's not good.
How are we going to do the...
Okay. Hushly.
Okay. Thank you. What? Bring on the dab this one.
No jets.
It's good to be home on station. How's everybody?
Командир, вперед!
All right.
Командир пошел!
Big Russian hug.
Командир пошел!
Big Russian hug. How you doing, guys?
Good to see you.
It's great to see you.
Oh,
Hey, Sergey, how are you?
I'm good. How
Good
are
to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh my goodness, my long lost Japanese friend. How you doing? How you, bud?
Good, man.
Wow. Sight for sore eyes. Sight for sore eyes.
Give me some love.
Good to see you guys.
Hey, Doug.
Chuckster.
Hey, Mike.
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you. Great to be here.
Finally meeting on board the ISS. 3 years later.
Sandy simply couldn't wait to get over here.
I know, it's like being home.
Oh,
except
it is.
It's bigger than when it was here before.
Hey, there's the Hurley Nyberg wing of the space station.
Yeah, that's it.
So, did you guys smell the shuttle when the hatch opened? You didn't smell it? That means we're keeping it clean.
We smell chunky.
Do you smell us?
When we equalized, you know, we gave you a lot of our air. Some of it didn't smell too good. Sorry.
Just
Hey,
blended
you guys
in.
got a lot of work lights up here.
Should we get a guided tour?
Так, вперед, да?
Well,
How much time we have?
I think we're behind right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Андрей, давай,
no time
начнем.
is possible. Quick safety brief.
Hold this.
Мы можем здесь начать, Андрей.
Mike.
Да. О, safety briefing. Но мы уже опаздываем, поэтому по-бырому, да.
Hey, Sandy.
Where's the touchdown?
Very good, thank you. Wow.
Expedition 28 Commander Andrei Borisenko is going to have a quick safety briefing with the crew of Atlantis. This is standard protocol anytime a shuttle docks with the station. Even though Sandy Magnus and the rest of the crew have been on board the station before, they have to get an update on the procedures in the unlikely event that there's an emergency on board. Also get familiar with the location of everything on board the station as well. So Expedition 28 Commander Borisenko will take care of this over the next several minutes, and then we'll continue to follow along as the crews say hello to one another. And And they will step into these robotics operations with the orbiter boom sensor system survey attachment handoff that's going to occur. The robotics officer here inside Mission Control is confirming that Atlantis' robotic arm is in motion. You see it there at the bottom center of the screen. So once again, what's going to happen is that the station's robotic arm is going to reach out and grab onto the orbiter boom sensor system, which is on the right-hand side of Atlantis' payload bay. It will grab onto that, lift it up out of the payload bay itself, spin it around, and hand it off to Atlantis' arm.
For Sandy, we would suggest for the CWCs that you'd like to move, they can go to PMM, starboard 4, rack front, and we would like to get the serial numbers off those CWCs.
Okay, do you want them on starboard 4, and I'll calm down when I move them?
Copy.
You're also hearing some conversations in the background between Sandy Magnus and the station flight control team. She's getting ready for quite a bit of this transfer work that's going to begin in earnest tomorrow. There's some zero-G stowage racks inside the multipurpose logistics module that is currently inside Atlantis' payload bay.
The SRMS procedure, we are at the pre-grapple and handoff position here. Go for OBSS grapple. Copy that. Thanks, Peggy.
So slowly but surely, Ron Guerin and Satoshi Furukawa are driving the station's very long robotic arm toward Atlantis' orbiter boom sensor system attachment that's on the right-hand side of Atlantis' payload bay right now.
Houston, station on the big loop. Satoshi is maneuvering into the grapple envelope.
Copy, Ron. Thanks for the status.
Capture of the OBSS is confirmed at 2:04 p.m. Central Time. So the station's arm has a secure connection with Atlantis' orbiter boom sensor system attachment there on the right-hand side of Atlantis' payload bay. And the crew will release that OBSS here shortly, lift it up out of the payload bay and turn it around and hand it over to Atlantis' arm. There you see the OBSS being lifted up by the station's arm. Ron Guerin and Satoshi Furukawa are flying that arm right now. They're going to hand it off to Atlantis' arm, which is under the control of the commander of STS-135, Chris Ferguson, and the pilot, Doug Hurley. You can see the station's arm rotating around the OBSS directly above the multi-purpose logistics module sitting inside Atlantis' payload bay. You get a sense of sort of the clearances that the crew is working with here. There on the right-hand side is Atlantis' arm, ready to latch on to the OBSS. You can see the latching point there on the very end. That's where it's going to pick it up. This is sort of a handshake in space between the station's arm and the shuttle's arm. But once Atlantis' arm grapples on to the OBSS, that is when the station crew, Ron Guerin and Satoshi Furukawa, will be given the go to release the station's arm from the end of it. The shuttle's arm is moving toward this target that you see here. This is a view from Atlantis' arm. There are actually some snares in the end of each one of these arms. Those get pulled tight, and that's actually what forms the bond between these two arms. The station's arm is actually so powerful it can actually lift about 250,000 pounds worth of mass up in space, up in orbit. But it's engineered to the point that if it were here on the ground, it actually would have a hard time lifting itself. So it gives you a sense of exactly what these flight controllers and what the crews, how well they have to train to do these robotics operations. They make them look very easy here on TV, but they are anything but.
Hey, station, have a go for OBSS ungrapple. Station copy.
So as you can see, the station's arm has let go of the OBSS and has backed off quite a ways. The OBSS now being held by Atlantis' arm.
And Atlantis, you have a go to maneuver for MPLM viewing. Atlantis copies. Hey Houston, for PDRS, we show ourselves complete with the OBIS handoff procedure.
Atlantis, we concur. Good work.
It was all chunky. I just watched over his shoulder.
Well, good work watching then.
This is Mission Control Houston. That again was a look at the activities that the crew accomplished during their flight day 3 of the STS-135 mission. And here in this view from cameras in